Hi everyone, happy Thursday. It's Jenny B with an I. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this painting of my little girl Grace. Here you can see white hair is not white. These are just some of the close-up shot to show you some of the tones of what happens with Grace. And this is Grace in her ugly stage, which, as much as I love her, in the process of painting her, you can see all the really dark tones and mid-tones that go into making white fur. So no fur is white, no fur is black. It's a whole range of different colours and dimension. Now guys, this is going to be a long video and I really appreciate your support, but now would be a good time to kick back, relax, grab your favourite beverage, forget about the festive season, take a deep breath and enjoy this video on how to paint white fur. And guys, you know what? I'd like to give a big shout out and a big huge thank you and a hug to all of you who have been supporting my channel. It just means the world to me. With the painting, I've gone back to strengthening some of my darks here on the table and adding in some of the reflected colour. So not only do I have a shadow, but within that shadow there's going to be some colour. A little bit of the copper is reflected from the tray, as well as a bit of the blue from the box. So I want to sort of pop all of that in there as well, and that just helps to give it a more natural look. As I was saying earlier, no dark is just dark and no white is just white when we're painting. Now Grace is an absolutely beautiful little girl, although you know she's actually quite old now. She's an Australian Tiffany. So an Australian Tiffany cat is a breed that is both a Bamilla and a Chinchilla mix, and what that gives me is lots and lots of loads of hair to paint, which I love, and there's a lot of difference in her fur. So she has that really short bulky fur around her face, and she also has that long trendles of fur in her tail, which is absolutely stunning. She's what we call a golden colour, so predominantly her fur is white, but when the light catches it, it turns gold. So it makes it a challenge to paint, and I absolutely loved it. I only ever paint one-offs, and with Grace, she'll be going into print sometime soon, so check out my Instagram account because that's when I'll announce the print. I must say the preliminary prints look amazing. So yeah, so it won't be long and she'll be in print. So if you'd like a copy of a print, they'll be available on my website. And each print will be hand signed by me. Yay! Now the other thing with Australian Tiffany's is they have quite dark markings around their ears and their eyes. Because they're that Bamilla Chinchilla mix, you often get that eyeliner effect around their eyes, and if her eyes had have been open and it was a different painting, you would have seen the green eyes. So Grace is quite an independent little girl. She is border trained, so she doesn't come off the house property, but she absolutely loves to get up in the morning, have her cuddles, have her breakfast, and then she'll go for a little walk, and then she around the place, and then she kind of comes in to check on me. And if I'm working at my desk, she'll go and jump into my in tray. So I've had to learn to keep my in tray devoid of paperwork and just leave it on my desk so that she can have a little nap in the sun. I tell you, my animals get the best life. Now here, as I'm going through, I'm strengthening up some of those darker tones around her chin where the light doesn't hit. The great thing with pastels, is that you can come in and continually make adjustments without affecting or getting muddy like you do tend to get with wet paints such as oils and acrylics. So in oils and acrylics, you would have to actually scrape that back and then start again. But with pastels, we can come in and do those adjustments. As I'm working, I'll often work in a section and I'll see something in another section and I'll go straight for it when I see it. So that I'm working overall throughout the whole painting. I absolutely love painting my animals. Well, not just mine, but anybody's. Such a passion. I love their personalities, and I love how this is sort of incorporating a memory of how I see Grace. And there's just something unique about that. I mean, I do have beautiful photos of Grace, but I don't think any of them compare to actually having a painting of her. There's just something special about it. Now, even though just around that ear there's a little bit of tufts, you can see that I'm working with the same colour as I go in to do above the eye. It is a cooler, lighter shade. So even though the pencils can be a bit deceptive because you sort of see the tip colour at the back of the pencil and you see the pencil colour, but when you lay it down it can actually be a different colour. And part of that reason is the paper that you work on, as well as the colours that are underneath. So you kind of learn what works and what doesn't. And you know what's great in pastels? If it doesn't work, you can come back and adjust. Laying in some of the mid lights here. So not the lightest light by any means. And just strengthening up some of those darks as I go through, capturing some of that reflective colour. What I'm using to smudge here is actually called a soft tool, and I guess you've probably seen them before on some other videos with pan pastels, but I just find they're absolutely wonderful to use when I'm using my normal pastel sticks. Capturing some of that gold colour that reflects in Grace's fur, because she is a golden Australian Tiffany. Her sister was a silver, and unfortunately we lost our little Lily a couple of months ago, so it's kind of been it's been a lot sad, but anyway. You can see as I'm laying in the pastels quite big bold strokes, and I'm not putting in every hair. Rather, I'm just forming the foundation of the hair, so the bulk of the hair. And again, I can see an adjustment here, just around that ear. And it's only the very tips of the fur. With hair, it's also important to know we never really see the root of a hair. We only sort of see the strands. So I always soften down around the roots. Here I'm coming in with a cooler dark, which is a bit fiddly, which is why I'm using pencil. Now you can see underneath that there's some really warm colours which are coming off that copper strip, and I don't want to lose them. So in some areas I'm actually sort of drawing in quite a lot of colour, and then in other areas you'll see that I'm actually doing brighter, not brighter, but longer strokes with less intensity of colour. And that's done through adjusting the way that I stroke, as you can see there, and also the amount of pressure I put on the pencil. This is painted on pastel matte paper, and I use a variety of different pastels. So now the method I use to do this tail is what I've done overall, and I'd love to show you a full video. However, I'm very limited because all my editing is done on my iPad. I don't have any other way of producing these videos at this time, so I don't have a computer that I can use to produce this video, and I have very limited space on my iPad. So, and let's face it, like, how long do you want to watch painting for? Really, come on, guys. Coming in a bit with that cooler light just to add some more definition to the face. Just tiny little strokes, which are a jagged type of stroke. Now you can see how much darker we can go with this tail, and the transitioning of the warmer and the darker tones. And look at the lovely effect that gives. It's just yummy. I think it's really cool too that, you know, as artists we can actually create something that really touches us. Now, I do work part-time, so I've committed to trying to make these videos once a week. So I hope you enjoy them. If there's anything you'd like to see me paint, please let me know. And if it's possible, I'll certainly do it. Now I'm coming in here and putting in some cooler lines, shadow lines. And as you can see, just this one portion of the tail, there's so much work that goes into it because of the detail that I like to incorporate into my work. But you know what, if you don't like detail, you can sort of just kick back a bit and take it to the level that you want to take it to. Not everybody has to paint the same, and I'm so happy that we don't. You can see now that by adding in these darker tones, how it's adding even more depth of formation to the way that the tail moves. So even though I haven't put in every strand, your eye is connecting the dots and it's saying, hey, that tail, it's got long hair in it, it's turning over this way and that way. And the whole time I'm working, I just have to be mindful of the structure of the tail. For those of you who know that I have a little Maltese Shih Tzu dog called Bella. You might be wondering how Bella and Grace get on. Both of them are really beautifully natured animals, and you know, they get on wonderfully. I mean, they don't fight. So Bella's coming up to nearly 2 years of age, so she's about 19 months at the moment. And yeah, her and Grace will play chases, but they don't actually fight, so I've been really lucky there. So I'm strengthening up some of the mid-tone colours here as I paint. Now my technique might not be the same as everybody else's, and it may not be the same as yours, but isn't it wonderful what we can do? So I am stroking through the colour of that mid-tone gold here. because of the way that I've layered the colours, you can see that it's coming up with really nice soft tones. Since I already had the colour out, I just thought I'd do some further adjustments around the ear and the eye. And I need to bring some of that neck hair further down. Coming in now with my mid-light. So already you can see a little bit of the magic starting to happen. And like I said, this is a mid-light. So I've left enough room in my tonal range so that I can still come back with some highlight. Don't forget, you can catch up with me on Instagram. Now you can see now I'm adding more pressure and some shorter strokes there, and all of a sudden you can see the finer hair. I haven't softened it down yet, and I will soften. I do tend to soften between layers. So right now she looks like a straggly cat that has not been kept very well. You can also catch up with me on Facebook. So putting in some of those lighter, cooler tones at the underturn of the tail. How could you not resist painting this? It's just so yummy. By straightening it that way, I've actually sort of flattened down certain parts of the hair. I can always come back and build it up again, so never panic. Take your time and consider where you need to add. Remembering it's always easier to add than it is to subtract. And I think with this method too, it shows you the volume of the hair in her tail, which is something that the Australian Tiffany's are actually known for. They're a really interesting breed. I looked them up online once and someone described them as the most dog-like of the cat world, which is pretty apt. Okay, so we're coming into the final stages here. So just a couple of little touch-ups. And those fine hair that they have out of their ears. Again, just pulling some of that, those fine strands from around her head and neck. And now for the final highlight. And this, my friend, is where the magic happens. If you enjoyed watching this, or any of my other videos, I do ask that you please give me a thumbs up, and if you like, then subscribe. I do warn you though, every time you like and subscribe me, you only encourage me. Now with this final light, you can actually see the transition. Now you can see the light moving through her body. It's magic. So once I've finished putting in all these highlights, it's just again a matter of just softening down so that we don't see the roots of the hair. You just see that lovely light. Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. If there's anything else you'd like to see, then please let me know. And don't forget, prints will be made available at www.jennibstudios. Here's just some of my other work that I've done. And I just want to say a big thank you and lots of hugs for supporting me. Stay safe, and I will catch up with you next week, which will be the last video for the year. Alright guys, thanks, bye.